Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS Monday Night Football. We got Cincinnati at Dallas. As far as Sunday, I had a good one. I'm up right now. I do have the Chargers +4. I think Justin Herbert just got hurt just a few minutes before I hit record, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But even if I lose the Chargers, I'm pretty sure I've already mathematically clinched a winning day. My two biggest bets hit, so it was a good Sunday, and it was needed. The last few weeks haven't really gone my way. Every time I have a winning day, I followed up by having two losing days right after, so kind of a one step forward, two steps backwards type of thing. So yeah, it was nice to have a winning Sunday. Cincinnati, Dallas, Monday Night Football, let's do it. So like I said, Bengals are on the road for this one. The Cowboys are catching 5.5 points at home here. That's across the board. Don't see any sixes. Total sitting at 49.5, also across the board. Let's take a look at the pie charts, and according to the data, action's coming in pretty heavily on the Cincinnati side. Over 70% of the tickets, about 85% of the money. As I always say, take this data with a grain of salt. So let's get into this one, and we'll start with some matchup history. Cincinnati has not had much success against the Cowboys. Since 2008, they've played them 5 times. They're 0-5, 1-4 against the spread, also 1-4 to the under. Specifically, their games in Dallas, 5 losses in a row here. They've lost 5 games in a row on the road at Dallas. 1-4 against the spread, 2-3 to the under. The last time the Bengals have beaten the Cowboys in Dallas, November of 1988. I was just a couple months old at the time. Now, obviously, tongue-in-cheek, this data doesn't mean much. These two teams don't play often at all. But we do need to talk about the last matchup in particular, 2022 in Dallas. The Cowboys won 2017. Why do we have to talk about this matchup? Because Cooper Rush was playing quarterback. The last time the Bengals played the Cowboys, it was 2022 on the road in Dallas. Dak Prescott was hurt. Cooper Rush was the quarterback. The Bengals were a full touchdown favorite. They were laying 7 points in the game, and the Cowboys beat them. Cooper Rush beat the Bengals outright, so maybe a bit of a revenge game here for the Bengals against Cooper Rush. But anyway, let's talk about the matchup. We'll start with the Bengals offense against the Cowboys defense. Obviously, Cincinnati has the huge edge on this side of the ball. 8th in yards per play, 10th in success rate. Against the Cowboys defense, that's 28th and 15th. Now, the good news for the Cowboys defense, their glaring weakness all year has been stopping the run. 28th in yards per carry allowed, 26th in success rate per rush. Why is that good news? Because the Bengals can't really run the ball. 18th in yards per carry, 30th in success rate per rush. So maybe it's good news that the Bengals aren't very good at what could exploit the weakness of the Cowboys defense. Now here's the bad news for the Cowboys defense. The Bengals have one of the most dynamic, explosive passing attacks in all of the NFL, as I'm sure you know. 11th in yards per pass attempt, 2nd in success rate per dropback. So are the Cowboys going to be able to slow this down? First, I want to talk about the run game. Now, I know you're thinking the Cowboys' run defense is so bad. Bengals are definitely going to be able to run the ball in this game. But, I mean, look, this is the last 9 games for both of these units. The Bengals, 93.3 rushing yards per game. 4.2 yards per carry obviously isn't bad, but success rate per rush under 28%, that's awful. Compared to the Cowboys' run defense, I mean, obviously something has to give here. Maybe the Bengals are able to run the ball a little bit because the Cowboys' defensive front really struggles to stop the run, but I don't have much faith in the Bengals running the ball against anybody, which means we really have to take a close look at the matchup for Joe Burrow, and we're going to start right here with the injury report, and it's not good news. Orlando Brown Jr. is going to miss this game. He was hurt. He came back. Now he's out again, which means the Bengals again are going to have to play missing both of their starting offensive tackles. That is not good news. We saw this already earlier in the season in weeks 9 through 12. During that stretch, when the Bengals were missing both their starting offensive tackles, Joe Burrow was pressured on 43.9% of his dropbacks. He was the 3rd most pressured quarterback in the entire NFL during that stretch. So missing both starting offensive tackles is a big deal. And to make matters even worse, they're on the road in Dallas against the Cowboys pass rush, who might be the hottest pass rush in the NFL. Micah Parsons came back in week 10. Since that time, since Micah Parsons returned to the lineup for the Cowboys, they're 1st in the NFL in time to pressure, 3rd in pressure rate. Like I said, this might be the hottest pass rush in the NFL right now. Now, the good news for Joe Burrow and the Bengals is Burrow's been great handling pressure so far this year. In fact, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL handling pressure. When pressured this year, he's 4th in yards per attempt, 2nd in passer rating. So just because the Cowboys are going to generate some pressure here doesn't mean Joe Burrow's completely screwed, but still, you take those two things and put them together. The Bengals missing both of their offensive tackles. They were terrible in pass protection during the stretch. They were missing those tackles. Cowboys' hottest pass rush in the NFL. I don't like that at all. And on top of that, the Cowboys blitz at a decent rate. They're 8th in blitz rate. Joe Burrow, when not blitzed, 12th in completion percentage, 2nd in yards per attempt, 6th in passer rating. But Joe Burrow, when blitzed, 17th, 18th, and 10th. So when not blitzed, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. When blitzed, he's closer to average, slightly above average. So I don't like that matchup at all for Cincinnati, missing both starting offensive tackles against the Cowboys pass rush. Cowboys defense should be able to make some plays in this one. They're going to send blitzes at them. I don't know if there's anything the Bengals can do to protect Burrow here. Burrow's going to have the game of his life. He should be under a lot of pressure. Now, as far as the Cowboys coverages go, I really don't know what to do with the Dallas secondary. I mean, Zimmer started off the year running a ton of cover 3. In weeks 1 through 4, they were 2nd in zone frequency, 2nd in cover 3 frequency. Then in weeks 5 through 9, they ran more man coverage than any other defense in the NFL. Now they're running zone again. So Zimmer has completely changed the Cowboys defense up twice already. So I really don't know what to expect from the Cowboys in terms of coverage. Something I will say, though, this may be the first time all season we're seeing the healthy Dallas Cowboys secondary. Obviously, we started the year, Deron Bland was hurt. Then he came back the same time Trevon Diggs got hurt. Now, Trevon Diggs is listed as questionable, but he's been participating in light practice all week, which means I think he's going to play. If he plays, this will be the first time we see a healthy Dallas Cowboys secondary this entire season. And keep in mind, it wouldn't be completely crazy if this Cowboys defense is pretty good against the pass down the stretch here. Last season, they were one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. They've been hurt all season. Now Micah Parsons is back. The secondary's finally healthy. Maybe this Cowboys defense is going to be pretty solid against the pass. They really haven't been that bad in their last 4 games. 229.3 passing yards allowed per game, 7.3 yards per attempt, average opponent pass rating of 84.7. Success rate isn't great, over 53%, but it's not like they've been getting completely lit up through the air. And look at the opponents. Eagles, Texans, Commanders, Giants are in there, but it's not like they're playing the worst teams in the NFL. This Cowboys pass defense might be all right now that they're healthier. So overall, on this side of the ball, I actually don't really like the matchup for the Bengals offense. I know we can't even fathom the idea of the Bengals offense not scoring 35 points, but let's not pretend like we haven't seen it before. Remember week 6, Sunday Night Football on the road at MetLife? Score was 10-7. The Bengals ran a meaningless touchdown in to make it 17-7. The week after that, they were held to 21 points in Cleveland. 7 of those points came on a kickoff return. So let's not act like we've never seen the Bengals offense struggle before. We have seen it. In fact, both those games on the road at MetLife, on the road at Cleveland, they're actually kind of similar to this one. Cowboys defense is not very good. Giants defense not very good. One thing they do well, though, is pressure the passer. Tell me that's not very similar to the Giants and the Browns. I think the Bengals offense may struggle in this game. But now we flip it over to the other side of the ball, and brace yourself for this. I mean, look at these graphics. This is disgusting. The Cowboys offense against the Bengals defense. Cincinnati's 23rd in yards per play allowed, 30th in success rate. The Cowboys offense 25th and 27th. And that's with Dak Prescott games included here. That's not isolated to just the Cooper Rush games. This is an absolute crime scene on this side of the ball. And making a prediction here is just crazy. I mean, you can point at this and say, hey, the Bengals don't have a pass rush. The Cowboys offensive line, although it hasn't been great this year, it's been okay in terms of pass protection. They're 6th in pressure rate allowed, 25th in pass blocking grade, 7th in adjusted sack rate. So, okay, maybe Cooper Rush is going to have clean pockets to throw from. There's something. But here's the thing with that. There's no Zach Martin. The Cowboys are missing the best piece of their offensive line. Also, their left tackle, Tyler Guyton, may not play. He hasn't practiced all week, so they might be missing both of those guys. Can we really trust the Cowboys pass protection missing 2 starters? Not to mention, on top of that, do we even trust Cooper Rush with clean pocket? I mean, look at Cooper Rush's numbers when given a clean pocket. 29th in yards per attempt, 37th in pass rating. You think the Bengals are like, oh man, we can't give Cooper Rush clean pockets. He's going to cook us. I mean, does Cooper Rush even scare you? If you give him a clean pocket, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL when given a clean pocket. Now, he did have one good game, and I don't want to take that away from him. Week 12 on the road against Washington. I mean, the Cowboys did have a passing attack in that game. 247 yards through the air, 7.7 yards per attempt. Pass rating over 117, success rate over 65%. He did have one good game, but look at the other 3 Cooper Rush starts. I mean, 5.1 yards per attempt, success rate below 39%, 69.3 average passer rating. So, okay, he did have one good game. I'm not trying to put my money on another one happening here. And by the way, when it comes to the Bengals defense against the pass, I know we all think it's terrible because we've seen it get cooked several times this year. But in all actuality, they've actually played all right when they've seen bad offenses. In their games against top 16 offenses, they're allowing over 284 passing yards per game, 9.2 yards per attempt, success rate above 63%, and average opponent pass rating of 120. They've gotten cooked when they've seen top half offenses. But in their games against bottom half offenses, I mean, they're not really giving up chunks through the air like that. 5.4 yards per pass attempt is excellent. Average pass rating is 74, excellent. Success rate is still above 48%, so yeah, you could say they've had trouble getting off the field, but it's not like they've been getting cooked by bad defenses. They've actually played all right against the pass in the games where they've seen bad offenses, and the Cowboys with Cooper Rush, definitely a passing attack I would consider to be in the bottom 16, maybe even the bottom 10. So even though the Bengals defense is not a unit I particularly trust, I think I trust Cooper Rush on the Cowboys passing attack less, if I'm being honest. Now, if you are betting Dallas here, you can point to this. They have something that resembles a rushing attack brewing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's been good, but in the last 5 games, they are averaging 4.2 yards per carry, success rate above 41%. Now, you might be looking at this graphic saying, Kyle, that's not even good. Yes, I know. Those numbers are pretty average, actually slightly below average, but in comparison to their first 7 games, it is a drastic improvement. So the Cowboys are improving in terms of running the football. There's something. But here's the problem with that. We just saw this Cowboys offense with an opportunity to run the ball in back-to-back games against back-to-back defenses that I consider to be bad against the run, and they really didn't show us anything. Against Washington and the Giants, 3.7 yards per carry, 108 rushing yards per game, success rate at 36%. That's not good. So even though, okay, the Cowboys' run game is a little bit better than it was in the first half of the season, it's still by no means good. Not to mention, Cincinnati's defensive run in terms of defending the run has actually been all right. I mean, it's not good, but in the last 7 games, success rate below 39%, 4.3 yards per carry allowed. That's really not that bad. Cincinnati's been getting cooked through the air when they see good offenses. As far as their defense on the ground, it really hasn't been that bad. And I know there are a few injuries on the defensive side of the ball for Cincinnati, but these aren't really new. I mean, Dax Hill has been hurt. Sheldon Rankins has been hurt. Logan Wilson's been hurt. I think this will be his the third game he's missed, so it's not like that's brand new either. None of these injuries are new. So as crazy as it sounds, I kind of like the matchup for Cincinnati's defense as well. I know that sounds crazy. I like the matchup for the Cowboys defense, and I like the matchup for the Bengals defense. What? But I do. I think these defenses could play pretty well here. I think we could see a bit of a defensive game. And I know picturing a defensive game when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals is wild, but keep in mind, you're just remembering the last few games. Rewind a month ago, and we saw a couple of them. The Giants game, the Cleveland game, both road games against good pass rushes. So I do think we're going to see the defenses play pretty well here. Here's the problem. Here's why I'm hesitant to pull the trigger on the under. Since week 10, these have been 2 of the fastest paced football teams in the league, which is terrible for an under. Since week 10, the Cowboys are 5th in pace and the Bengals are 6th. That is not what you want to see. If I'm betting under 49.5 or under 50, it's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I don't want to see fast-paced football at all. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all, but I truly think these defenses could play pretty well. 49.5 is a big number. I'm going to take the under here. As far as a side, I think I would lean towards I might even take the points with Dallas. I mean, I really don't like this game, if I'm being honest. It's a primetime game. Of course, I'm going to bet it. But as far as placing a bet, I think 5.5 is a pretty fair line. I would probably put this at 4.5. So I guess maybe a little bit of value on the Dallas side, but don't feel really strongly, like I said. So I'll take the under and probably put a few dollars on the Cowboys. Again, please bet this one responsibly. I do not feel strongly about it. Live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through this game. We'll go through the NBA slate. We'll go through the college basketball, all that. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a great Monday, coming off a great Sunday. The Chargers just covered, by the way, which is huge. Had a great NFL Sunday. Please remember to bet responsibly. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me.